Okay, well, it's time for our main event, and we had teased this a couple of weeks ago on the program, and you forgot to do it, to bring it up the next time we recorded, and then last week we did the Scott Hall, the Razor Ramon, and Bret Hart watch-along, obviously, because that was the week for that, but we want to give the people what we promised a few weeks ago, so today we're doing Bret Hart and Roddy Piper from WrestleMania 8.
That's right. That's right. One of my favorite matches of all time.
And, folks, I haven't seen this show since it happened. I don't think I watched the whole show. I've zipped through the tape. I've seen this match, but it's been, what year was this?
1992, the Hoosier Dome, Indianapolis, Indiana.
So I probably haven't seen it in 28 years or so, but we did, you and I, Brian, before we went on the air, we watched the interview with Hart and Piper that go right before this match. Why don't you set it at, you're the WWF expert back in those days. Both these guys are baby faces. It's for the Intercontinental title. How did this come about?
See, this was such a cool match because they were both baby faces, but you felt like something could happen here.
Mm-hmm.
Roddy Piper came back in 1989 and was a babyface all the way through. This guy that was the greatest heel ever became a babyface and stayed a babyface forever. It was so weird. But at this point, he was finally starting to show a little bit of, I could turn heel if I wanted to. Bret Hart got established as a single really at SummerSlam 91 the previous summer, defeating Curt Hennig, another match we needed to do a watch-along of.
Yeah.
Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam 91. And really spent the next 6 months establishing himself as being the number 2 guy, the Intercontinental Champion. Right before Royal Rumble, Bret loses the title to Jacques Rougeau, the Mountie. The Mountie surprisingly drops the belt to Roddy Piper at the Royal Rumble, which is Roddy Piper's, at that time, only singles WWF title reign as Intercontinental Champion. And all of a sudden it builds to Bret versus Piper. 2 guys, fan favorites, who were both rule breakers at different points. And that sets it up. We're going into this match. It's the 3rd match on the show. You had Shawn Michaels versus Tito. Just an opener. Shawn Michaels was just getting established. Jake versus Undertaker. A somewhat big match. Bigger in retrospect because it's Jake's last match in the WWF for that era. And then this match for the Intercontinental belt. 2 babyfaces. Roddy Piper, the champion, versus the former champion, Bret Hart.
And real quick, I got to say the interview that we watched, you and I, before we recorded today, just to get the feel of it, it's hard to do babyface matches. It's easier to do babyface matches when one, or in this case, both guys, have had a history of being heels. Because like you said, people get the idea something could happen. Both these guys, either one, it could, whatever. It reminded me of 10 years earlier in Memphis territory when Jerry Lawler and Dutch Mantell were both the 2 top babyfaces, but they did a program, and they never did babyface programs in Tennessee. But this was where Lawler had come back from his broken leg. He'd been a babyface for over a year and a half. And the tease with Lawler was always after he'd done a few too many jobs, try to get other people over, get interest in some program that was going on, he would always start teasing himself as going back heel. The old king may have to come back for this. The old king. So Lawler was like Piper. He was a smartass. He cut promos and he insulted people. He had the quick wit and the quips, and he could get under your skin, and verbally he could do that. And the people liked it as a babyface, even when he got a little heelish, because he was entertaining and it was funny. Dutch Mantell, just like Bret Hart, a straight ahead, no nonsense guy. He wasn't a fucking smart mouth. He was a guy of action. He was the guy that the people, they thought of Dutch much like Bret, in that he didn't take any bullshit and he stood up for himself, but he wasn't a guy to go running off at the mouth. And those are the 2 characters that Piper and Bret in this pre-match interview exhibit. Piper starts with his smart aleck stuff that he did with everybody But Bret cuts him off when he starts getting a little too far, and hey, don't touch me. And the tempers start flaring a little bit. And Piper's like, oh, well, you don't want to be funny. What about if I just beat you up? And Bret's like, try it if you can. So they've gone from two baby faces that are minding their own business, didn't want to hurt anybody, but now they've got a bone of contention over the championship that Bret feels like he was screwed out of, not by Piper, by the Mountie, but now wants to regain. And Piper's like, I don't care who held this before. It's mine now. And now you got a horse race, two different personalities rubbing each other the wrong way. Did I say that kind of right?
I think you said that very right. And that promo, again, as a fan, as a 12-year-old watching it at home, it was pretty exciting because the promo was teasing what I felt all along. Oh my God, something could happen here. One of these guys could turn. I mean, you don't think of it in that way when you're a kid, but you know what I mean? One of these guys could become a bad guy again. One of these guys could all of a sudden go to the dark side. It was intriguing, and it led into this match.
So now we got the match at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis. You know what they say up in Indiana? They're Hoosiers because every single one of them has to ask, who's your mama? Who's your daddy? Because they don't know. Ha ha ha. That's old Kentucky humor.
The road to WrestleMania that year was filled with Bobby Heenan reminding everyone that he was Indianapolis's favorite Bobby, or Indiana's favorite Bobby.
Indiana's favorite Bobby. Over Bobby Knight, I actually have one of those buttons. Bobby Heenan, WrestleMania 8, Indiana's favorite Bobby. Anyway, so how are we going to tell the folks how we're going to do this? We're going to the Peacock.
On Peacock.
It's WrestleMania 8. And you tell them from there how we should all be a part of this.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are on Peacock, you must know how to find the WWE section by this point. I can't help you if you don't. And once you're there, you must find some sort of insignia for WrestleMania. They may say WrestleMania. I really don't know what they do. It's WrestleMania 8, or as some may now call it, WrestleMania Season 8, Episode 1.
Yeah, Season 8, Episode 1 of WrestleMania on Peacock.
So you want to go to Season 8, Episode 1, WrestleMania 8. The timestamp we are looking for, which is following the Roddy Piper Bret Hart promo with Gene Okerlund, the time we are looking for, 39:32. 39 minutes and 32 seconds into WrestleMania 8. Once again, I want to say that clearly, 39:32, a wide shot of the packed Hoosier Dome. Jim, are you ready from your end?
As long as the cock works, I'm ready.
He is speaking of the Peacock television platform, or whatever we want to call it. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do how we always do it here, Hawaiian Brian style. I'm going to count down. Once I get to 1, I'm going to say press play now. Once I'm finishing the word now, once you are finished with the word W, with the letter W in the word now.
Oh, good God.
Press play, good God. Are you ready, Jim?
I wish I was even more ready. Can we just do this?
Let's do this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play now.
And here we go. And ladies and gentlemen, look at that crowd. You'd never dream many of them were comps. Remember, this was Indianapolis, and this was before they had set the stadium precedent for WrestleMania. So this was a gamble. And I think they did 40-something thousand paid, which for Indianapolis and back in those days was excellent. But goodbye, Roddy, the sign there. Yeah, but Bret comes out. The people like him, but he's not a smart ass. He's not a wise ass. They know that. He's got the game face on. He's serious, but they're still behind him. But you would think that because Piper was a bit more of an WWF icon at that point, that probably, the majority of the fans' attention goes to Piper in this, but they didn't usually see babyface matches in the WWF, and that goes all the way back to Bruno and Pedro in Shea Stadium. When Vince Sr., he pulled the trigger on that, he thought this will be the all-time record gate, which I think at that time it was. Didn't they just narrowly beat Blassie and Tolos in the Coliseum? Look at Roddy's face. But anyway, Bruno and Pedro in Shea Stadium only drew 25,000 people, and the gate was just a little bit more than they could have gotten in the Garden because it was September and it was a rainy day. And because of that, Vince Sr. decided he was never going to do a babyface match again, and Vince Jr., pretty much, except for the notable exceptions, this and Hogan and Warrior, he never did. And that probably was, not the best, look, giving the little kitty the glasses. That was not the best attitude to take because he probably could have got a couple of other big matches out of it. But historically, a babyface versus a babyface match is hard not only to get to get the people into it, but then also to salvage one guy's reputation coming out of it. That's why heel versus heel matches a lot of times had more interest from the fans because they wanted to see, the heels do all the heel shit to each other, and you could get out of it a bunch more ways to keep heels heat and or keep them in the right place. Babyface is tough, but these two guys, especially Roddy's so smart. Bret, at that time, he grew up in a wrestling family. I'm sure this was 30 years ago. He had good psychology, but he probably would get a little bit better with a little bit more top experience. And here they go nose to nose. Who's the referee? This is before my time there.
Junior from Problem Child with a mustache. I'm not sure. Look at that sign. That was a big deal when I was a kid.
Wow.
The Four Horsemen sign at WrestleMania.
They drop it and get out of there before fucking security comes, right?
Exactly.
Anyway, what did you like about this match? Since this was one of your favorite WWF matches, what stands out in your mind, Brian?
Nothing specific other than it's the tone I like. It's the seriousness I like. It doesn't have to be a babyface versus babyface, but to me, this match is pro wrestling. It doesn't have to go 20 minutes. To me, it could be a 5-star match for me if it goes 12 minutes and it's nothing but action, nothing but great story. Yeah. And that's what this match has. This match, the story of this match, is incredible.
Look at Bret.
And although Bret had won the Intercontinental belt at SummerSlam 91, it's really, in my eyes, this match that elevates him because nobody beat Piper ever.
Okay, well, there's true, and there's a point for you. Nobody beat Piper ever. And just being in the ring at this stage of his career for Bret Hart, remember this is 30 years ago, being in the ring with Piper elevated him in the people's eyes because Roddy Piper had been Hulk Hogan's nemesis, Cyndi Lauper's nemesis. And look, again, standard babyface open. Piper gave Bret the arm drag. Bret gives him the same thing back. And each guy registers in their own way their frustration at it. And the lockups are nice and stiff. And look, Roddy was not noted for working scientifically like this and the wrestling and the riding and the grappling in his matches because he was always either a heel with a hot baby face or vice versa. But now and the tempers are flaring already. He showed he could wrestle, but maybe Bret Hart's the better wrestler. Because, again, keeping everybody in the right place, Roddy Piper's a fighter. Roddy Piper's a street fighter. He could wrestle. He could handle himself. This is what the people are supposed to think, right? But Bret Hart may be the better technical wrestler here, and that's probably what Roddy's going to show. And then Roddy's going to turn around, and he's going to do some of the shortcuts and the little cheap things that he's noted for, and the people are not going to be mad because that's Piper. Lock up and test of strength for Junior, the referee there, I don't know who that fucking guy is. I've never seen that referee before. And now Piper says, okay, Bret, whoop, wait a minute. The technician, each guy here is wrestling like they normally do, but they're not. Remember, I've talked about babyfaces shouldn't just go and try to cripple a guy. Neither guy here is trying to cripple the other. Even though tempers are flaring a little bit, they're trying to be the better wrestler. But because they're both baby faces, nobody's going to ruin that standing in the eyes of the fans by just saying, I think I'll just haul off and kick Bret in the nuts for no reason. And again, just the body language. Roddy's trying to pull away from the fucking hole, trying to smack Bret, do whatever he can, but he can't get away from it. Bret finally wrestles him down. It's not what they're doing. It's the body language and the movement and the follow-throughs and the way that they react to things. And now, again, people now call it a rest hold. Imagine that. You don't want to put a hold in a wrestling match, but they're working for something. They're trying to get an advantage. Now Piper sends him off swinging a duck. There's the technician, Bret Hart, the big drop kick, but he hurt his shoulder because that's the arm that Roddy had been holding on to. Blah, blah, blah. And when he took the bump. Oh, now wait. Okay, now, yes. Bret goes down and takes the bump, hurts his shoulder. Roddy wants to check on him, and Bret suckered him. Now, holy shit. What's Piper saying? Fuck you. That's my kind of shit that I'm supposed to be doing. You think you're going to get away with that? Now he slapped Bret in the face. Bret's pissed. It's an escalation of their tempers and their emotions. Instead of just going in thinking that we're just going to try to kill each other right off the bat. And now there's going to be a bit more fucking, shit. They almost missed it, but they got it. Did you see when Roddy caught Bret, those loose ropes, they're real ropes. Roddy's back needed to be a little bit farther over the top rope, but the weight of Bret sunk him down, so he got back under him, and Bret helped him, and they made it over. Great save. And now at this point, Roddy's still trying to, they're going to do the open the ropes deal. This was also a standard babyface match spot in the territory days. One guy takes a bump out of the ring. The other guy invites him back in and holds the rope open. And this one should work okay. And the next time it happens, it might be a different story. But a nice round of applause from all the people for the sportsmanship.
Yeah, the people were really into this match.
And there you go, Roddy. Hey, look out, your boot's untied. He goes down to tie the boot, and there's a left fucking shot. And now the referee's all over him. You shouldn't do that. And again, these guys are noted for taking cheap shots in the past. And now Roddy's like, okay. I forgot Bret got the juice from the punch, right?
Well, Bret may have claimed different things to Vince McMahon in the back.
Well, no, I don't mean it. This was the first major example of Bret getting juice, doing a blade job, and then convincing Vince that it was an accident. But I forgot it was on Roddy's punch. But see, now Roddy has taken a cheap shot, which may have been deserved because of what Bret did, but now Bret's been busted open by it. So now the sympathy from the fans is in Bret's corner, and Roddy's going to get the heat and be a little more fucking heelish about it. And right there, the reason why that they wanted blood was because something had to happen to get, and look at Roddy biting it. He's going back to the old heel tactics. Something had to happen to get the people sympathizing with Bret, because in the overall scheme of things, Bret's the underdog in this anyway. Piper's a bigger star. Now the people are sympathizing with Bret, and they're paying attention to what's going on with him.
Important note, by and large, this was an era where there was no blood in WWF.
Well, yeah, we should mention that because they weren't doing blood. They were doing the childishness and everything, the kids' audience. But Bret and Piper, being veterans, knew they needed the blood. And this was the same thing as Bret and Davey Boy, Bulldog, in December 95 in your house, when Bulldog sent Bret into the steps, and Bret slyly worked his magic, and he told Vince, well, it was the steps. It was an accident. Same thing here. And then there was later on this same show that Flair went out and got juice in front of God and everybody, and Vince went out of his mind hot at Flair.
That's right.
But Bret worked the magic and convinced Vince that it was hard way. But anyway, now Bret's selling. Roddy's on him. He's not he still hasn't just switched full-fledged heel, but Roddy is fighting this fucking guy like Roddy Piper does, and now here comes Bret back. Now that, oh, look at nice shot and nice bump. Now that Bret has been put in the underdog position, the people are a little bit more sympathetic to him. Now when he starts making this comeback that Roddy's about to set up for him, that's when the babies start going in the air. A nice little double down when he caught him on the neck breaker. And this gives the people a chance to rumble. That's why Michaels used to stay down in the double knockout for so long.
Hey, the stupid
because
referee.
If he stayed down,
that's a pin. That's a pin.
Well, he ain't noticed. Sean would stay in the double down for so long because the people would start rumbling. And that's what they do is if you pop right back up, they haven't had time to get into it and start really exhorting their favorite to get up. Now, Roddy's the first one up. He's going to try to put this thing away, but I have a feeling Bret will have something to say here in just a second. And wouldn't you know who won the pony? Boom. And now look at Bret's face. Look at the way he's grabbed Roddy. He's going to break this hold. Boom, he sure is. And now there's Roddy on his ass, and Bret's back in charge. And here comes the comeback. Boom. Snap suplex. Shades the Dynamite Kid. And now Bret's coming back, and Piper's on his ass. And the people are more with Bret than they would have been if it had been the other way around and Roddy was making a comeback, because they wouldn't have gotten into the heat as much because Piper's the bigger star. The underdog needed to get shit kicked out of him and make a comeback. And again, Bret accuses Flair of being repetitious. Bret had the same comeback for every match for 15 years, but it always looked good. And is his best shit. Look at that color, though, is good, but it's not gross. And here as he goes to step into the sharpshooter, look, Piper knows that he can't get this on me or it'll be it. So boom. It's a struggle. He's trying to fight out of it.
But the moves that Bret did a lot were offense. Flair, the things he did a lot were selling.
True. Very true, which you can make a case for, yeah, a guy should use his best moves on offense better than, is it just happened this way that the people kick the shit out of Flair the same way? I get what you're saying. Nice shot in the face there with the boot as Bret was coming down, and now, here we go. Boom. 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 That's what I'm talking about. Open up for the guy. If he can work and you trust him, open up. Don't lay there and cover up and let him windmill your fucking biceps. And we got a ref bump, which didn't happen that often as I recall back in the WWF either. Boom. It looked like Bret wanted to go over the top and fucking Roddy just cross-faced his ass there. He got him out one way or the other. That was a shorter, sharper shot than one would have thought. Who's calling me? Probably goddamn Bret or Roddy, either one. Anyway, we're in this match. While the referee's down, look at Roddy. Now, finally, the true colors come out. I'll win this match one way or the other. And that's exactly what he's trying to do. He brings the bell in.
And now he's lost the fans. And now the fans, They don't want to see him win like this after all this.
Now they're like, wait a minute. Maybe we should have been cheering for Bret all along. Is Piper going to do this? And Bret can't hardly get up. And they're milking. And I swear to God, they're milking a long time. But now Roddy's thinking, Roddy's hearing it. Son of a bitch, look at it. He's like, you don't want me to do this either, do you? And Bret's helpless. I oughta. Why I oughta? No, Roddy, no. We love you. All right, fuck it. And that, for the first time ever, Roddy Piper makes a mistake of being soft on somebody, which may play a part. Oh, sleeper, but no. Boom, kickoff, referee back. 3. The out in Roddy's mind and the out in the people's mind was that he could have fucking bashed Bret's head in there and beat him. But the people didn't want him to. And that's when he realized, what the fuck am I doing? And that led to how many pinfall defeats did Roddy Piper have besides this one in the WWF?
I think there was one to Snuka early on. I don't know if there was any.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
He had an out. He could have won it, but he didn't. And it wasn't because he's a baby. If he'd been a heel, he could have made a mistake and lost. As a babyface, he couldn't make a mistake. He had a crisis of conscience over doing that to Bret, and he didn't. And the one time that Roddy Piper doesn't turn into a dirty son of a bitch, he loses the match. And he then anoints Bret by putting the belt on him as a true worthy champion. Roddy Piper is still a beloved icon. Bret Hart has got one of the biggest victories to his career, if not the biggest up to that point. And everything's right with the world, and they're both still baby faces after they lost their tempers because they're prideful athletes. Everything made sense. Imagine that.
And even though he had the out, the sleeper was Roddy Piper's finisher. So Bret,
that's right,
pinned him out of his finisher.
But then you could also say that he wouldn't have had to gone to the sleeper if he'd used the bell.
Hey, don't turn this off yet. Keep pressing play.
Oh, wait a minute. I stopped it, but there's Bobby and Gorilla. And oh my God.
Look at the size of Luger.
And there's Lex Luger in Atlanta when he was signed to the World Bodybuilding Federation, right?
That's right.
And God, he's massive. Because he got paid to take a year off and just train and do bodybuilding poses. And that's how, for people are going, what the fuck? This is a story for another day, but the way Luger got out of WCW and into the WWF was Vince opened up the World Bodybuilding Federation and signed Luger to be his top bodybuilder so WCW wouldn't sue him for being a wrestler. And then after the year was up and the World Bodybuilding Federation went in the toilet, Luger was contractually able to then become a wrestler for the WWF, which he did. And God, he's huge there.
If you remember, too, at the end of his WCW run, he disappeared. He was gone when they were building up the match with him against Sting, which would be the second time they tried to push Sting as the top guy. This time it actually worked a little better. A lot better, I would say.
Yeah.
Luger disappeared. He showed back up. He was as big as he had ever been, and he blew up right away in that match. He had no stamina whatsoever. Super brawl.
And then
he showed up here. And then he showed up here.
I was about to say, and then that was the deal. He was still under contract to WCW as a wrestler, right? But he could sign a contract with another company to do something else besides wrestling, and that was his loophole.
And remember, he didn't even do bodybuilding. He was either considered the host or the co-host or just the fun bodybuilding sidekick on Body Wars, or whatever the bodybuilding show was that Vince had on the USA Network. Hosted by Vince.
Body Stars.
Body Stars, not Body Wars.
Stars.
Body Stars. Body Wars. Body Stars, that's right.
But fortunately, the narcissist gimmick was in his future. And we'll go into that on another day at another time. Is there anything else we need to go into on this day at this time?
On this WrestleMania day or on this broadcasting day?
On this broadcasting day, in this particular program.
I think we could say adios until the drive-thru.